All right, so we had a very exciting conversation this past Sunday, and if you weren't part of it, then let me just kind of bring you up to date. When we met together a couple of weeks ago in person, we thought we were really clear about how we were going to keep each other safe and what the rules of engagement would be with regard to vaccinations and masks and that kind of stuff. And it turns out that our plans didn't work out in terms of being really clear or ultimately feeling safe. I don't think anybody got sick, so there's no kind of crisis around that, so far as I know. But there was the crisis of feeling like, wait, I thought we came to an agreement. How were we going to be with each other? And how it is that we are with each other as humans on this big pilgrimage that we are a part of is kind of the central point of what we're doing here. How are we going to engage with each other? So the question of how do we deal with conflicts came up in a really vivid way. There are some smaller conflicts that we have addressed in ways that I think are really quite clear, and we've kind of, I'm sure we can work them out. The thing is, the question about how do we address COVID is so big. There are so many moving parts. It is so essential to what's happening in the world today. There are no relationships on the planet that are not being impacted by COVID. And so it's a huge issue just because of its scope, but it's also huge because of its complexity. So I want to say that we need to be able to address it because it's so important. And we can find it very difficult to address because of its complexity. So I want to just say some things about what I mean by complexity. And this is a chart that I've used in other settings to talk about what are all of the levels related to a complex conflict. We know we're having a conflict. Usually, the way that we see it is through some resource-based issue. The toilet seat is up or down. The money is either spent here or it's spent there. We're either getting together, spending time together, or we're not. And so how it is that we deal with these resources are the way that we know that we're in conflict. But it's not just about the resources. It's about who are we to each other? What is the nature of our relationship to each other? And furthermore, how will we make a decision? So it's easy to know whether the toilet seat is up or down as a resource-based issue. It's either up or it's down. But why? What difference does it make? Are you considerate of me? Are you paying attention to what's going on with me? It's an identity-based question. And if I want it down and you want it up, how are we going to deal with it? What's the process by which we're going to make sense of that? That can be a very simple kind of issue. But when it comes to the whole question of how do we as a society deal with a potentially lethal virus that's mutating rapidly and is easily spread, and it shuts down economies and it keeps people out of school, and it doesn't allow people to get together personally without some level of risk. How are we going to deal with all of that? And it's a resource-based issue because it has to do with data and science, and it's this or it's that. It's an identity-based issue insofar as how are we going to deal with each other, and do we really look out for each other, or do we feel safe with each other, or do we feel like people are conspiring against us? And it's a process-based issue insofar as how are we going to make decisions about what it is that we're going to do. So I've listed, you'll see down below here, I've pulled apart some of the things that make sense to me about the complexity of this issue. The question in front of us as living with intention, as people together on a pilgrimage, is, are we going to be able to do this? Or is this going to blow things apart? Or are we going to be able to use this issue as the context to kind of look at ourselves and to do our own work and to figure out, why am I looking at it the way I am when other people see it so differently? And what does this invite me to in terms of a kind of growth opportunity? So I hope you'll hang with us. I'm going to send another video a little later this week to kind of suggest how it is we can begin to address this next Sunday evening, so you can be ready for that. And I hope you'll join us. All right, take care. Be safe.